Hey guys, Jacob here with a brief tutorial / introduction to Json. So to start off, what is Json? It stands for JavaScript Object Notation. That's a lightweight data interchange format. It's a fancy way of saying that it's a text-based way of storing data for transferring between a client server, for websites, for API calls. When you post, you'll most likely post JSON. When you get a response, it'll most likely be JSON. Or in the case of memoranda or assignment 5, the design pattern assignment, you can use it for data persistence, which is what we've done here. So where am I going? Start off here. So this is our JSON file. I know it can be a little daunting at first, but it's really not that hard. So right now we've got a outer array, which just like in pretty much any programming language, the arrays are the square brackets. And this array has two JSON objects in it. JSON objects are denoted with the curly brackets. So we've got one object here, the end of that first object here, and they're comma separated in an array. And then a second JSON object here. So this first JSON object in the array has an attribute username with a value Batman, an attribute shopping list with a value of another JSON array, which is made up of more JSON objects and more attributes. And as you can see here, I don't think we've quite captured them all. So in these key value pairs of the objects, the value can be a string, it can be a number, it can be true or false. I think I'm the wrong one. I think I'm on the wrong one. Oh, nope. It can be a string, a number, object, array, boolean, or null. And when it says objects here, it is meaning JSON objects, not Java objects. Hence the... Oh, I don't think we actually have any JSON objects here. But here we will come over to JSON lint, which is a great way to validate your JSON. And I messed it up. Sorry guys. So validate, and we're good. So now, as you can see in an object, the different attributes or key value pairs are also separated by commas. So just to need a comma there. We'll go object. And the value for this object will be another object. Obviously this data doesn't really have any meaning right here, but just want to demonstrate what it meant by a value could be another object. But really, I mean, you can nest these just about any way you want and structure them just about any way you want to make it make sense with your project. Let me see if I open this in a new tab. Java. So as you can probably tell, we have each object represents a single shopper. So we've got our shopper.java, and then they've got their shopping list, which is made up of products. And it maps pretty much directly to the Java JSON. So we've got our product constructor, which takes in a simple JSON object. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it yet this time, but the objects are pretty much hash maps, and the arrays are pretty much array lists. So you can do get item, and it's going to return the string sharp cheddar. You can do get description, and it's going to return. You can do get item, and it's going to return cheese. You can do get description, and it's going to return sharp cheddar. And so that's the product. And you do have to write methods for output to JSON and from JSON. And then our shopper, it's pretty much the same thing. We've got a shopper constructor, which takes a JSON object parameter, and so we initialize our product list. And then we get this array. So we're getting this array of objects. And then for each object on that list, we're going to create a new product and then add it to this list. And over here in our main, doubt this will be as cool as I thought it was the first time, but great will run. So we'll read in to our objects, and then we are going to output a little bit of information. So the first shopper is Batman. Batman wants some cheese, milk, spinach. Cheese, milk, spinach. And Spider-Man wants some bread and Nutella. Bread and Nutella. And of course you can make it to where you can add more objects and save those to the file for later. So let's see here. So we've got our JSON parser, and we're going to open the file here, and then we're going to parse it, and then we're going to get our JSON array. This is the outer JSON array. So then we're going to iterate over that array, or over all two objects of it, and we're going to create new shoppers from each object. So that'll pass it to that shopper constructor, which will then pass each product to that product constructor and add it to its list. And here's where we output that information, and here we export it to, like I said, this one is Sherping list, and this is where we actually read it from and output it from. Either of these is valid JSON, but this one is not as pretty as the other one. I couldn't quite figure out how to do pretty printing on this, which is what that other nice little stuff is called. So we've got our JSON array, just going to be our outer array, and then for shopper, we're going to add to the array shopper to JSON object, which is a method that I made over here. So like I was saying, there's plenty of JSON information out there. I highly recommend checking out this DigitalOcean tutorial, which I will post a link to on this YouTube video or on Slack. Even the json.org has some pretty good quick information on what's valid syntax. And if you want to go hunting for a library to use, they've got a lot of them listed. So with your project, the way that I'd probably start out by doing it is make you a little dummy test file like this. This is how Julie made this file, and then we started programming around the file. Not that you should necessarily program around the file, but make you a dummy file that you can then try to read into your objects. Like I said, you can test it out here. So we've got, personally I like to have an outside array versus an object. You can have an outside object, then you've got to do stuff like Aldo Farms. Product corn. You got to do stuff like that, or kind of repeat information, which I'm not a huge fan of. A lot of the libraries do have stuff for handling data structured like this. You can get a list of all the key sets of this outer object, which this is not valid JSON. I'm sorry, guys. That is valid JSON. Personally, I like the array approach. It's a little more familiar to me. Have your outer array. Farm1, we'll call it Aldo Farms. Product corn. And then comma, I don't know, another farm. And, I would start off something like this. I'm not going to add another object, so we're going to take that comma away. Oh no, why is it not approving of this? Oh, I forgot my comma. Don't forget your commas. This is why I would validate your stuff before you try to read it in. But basically make you a little dummy file like this, then start trying to write the methods to read the information into your project. And if y'all do want to download this to take a look at the code, I'll post a link to it on Slack or the YouTube video or both. Like I said, ask us questions. Google Json. There's lots of information out there on it. Hopefully you guys give it a shot.